Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Friday, July 26th. Hopefully, everybody is having a good day so far today. This is episode 335 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. For those of you tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. Appreciate your support. As always, we've got a lot to break down today from New York Jets training camp. Practice number 3 is in the books, and we've got a lot of takeaways. It was another successful day for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets offense. We will break it all down and get you set up for their second open practice tomorrow at One Jet Drive. For practice number 4 overall here early on in camp as we reach closer and closer to August and get closer and closer to some of the joint practices and, of course, the start of preseason games as well. But today was a very productive day for the New York Jets once again on offense after a very productive day once again yesterday. Now, before we begin and get into all of that and all of our practice takeaways from this afternoon, let's tell you about our podcast partners over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app that takes tickets from all over the internet and puts it into one place to make it easier for you, the buyer. What made SeatGeek so great is it rates each ticket from a scale of 0 to 10, so you know what deal you are getting on your ticket. Green means good, yellow means okay, red means bad. Plus, my viewers, when you use promo code Bubs on Sports, you will receive $20 off your purchase. Click the link in the description down below to download the SeatGeek app. Once again, that is promo code Bubs on Sports for $20 off your purchase. Also, our friends over at Alijah House. If you want the hat that I'm wearing right now, or any of the hats that Aaron Rodgers wears, even Shane Gillis, Shohei Ohtani, many celebrities and athletes rock the Alijah House vintage inspired hats. Click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to the Alijah House store. Use promo code Bubs for 15% off any purchase at Alijah House and get yourself some Alijah House swag. Now for practice this afternoon, the New York Jets day number 3 is in the books, and similar to yesterday, which I was in person, had my in-person takeaways, I will be back out there tomorrow, so looking forward to that. We'll have more in-person takeaways after practice tomorrow. But similar to yesterday and really similar to even the first 2 practices, 2 of the first 3 practices for the New York Jets has been a very successful practice for the New York Jets. Yesterday, or day 2 was very successful yesterday, and again today was very successful. So 2 of the 3 days so far have been dominated by the offense, and it starts with quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He was excellent today, kind of surgical again, and we get it. It's practice, right? It's, you're allowed to get excited, though. If you're a Jets fan, you're allowed to get excited. You're allowed to be pumped up. You're allowed to be fired up after everything this team went through last year, to finally see good quarterback play again, to finally see Aaron Rodgers picking up where he left off. Really, it seems like he missed no time with the way he's been performing through these first 3 camp practices. It's been great to see. You start with the 7-on-7 drills. Rodgers was perfect in 7-on-7 drills. First play of 7-on-7s, got the ball to Garrett Wilson on a quick pass, then got the ball to Allen Lazard, and then Isaiah Davis, and also was able to get it to Tyler Conklin. So 4 for 4 in 7-on-7 drills. The ball didn't hit the ground, and he was spreading it out. Got it to 4 different weapons: Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, running back Isaiah Davis, and tight end Tyler Conklin, who had a very productive day today. So you're seeing Rodgers spread the ball around, get it to all of his different weapons. Even Braylon Allen, he has been able to get involved. Obviously, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard continues to have a very, very impressive summer. Tyler Conklin gets the ball to Jeremy Ruckert, getting the ball to Isaiah Davis, even getting the ball to Breece Hall. From a passing standpoint, out of the backfield, Breece Hall has been productive through the first 3 days of camp, which shouldn't come by much of a surprise. We'll get into many of the other weapons and all those guys a little later on, but Aaron Rodgers just continues to be efficient, continues to be surgical in a way with these practices and spreading the ball around and getting to all of these weapons. And That's also with Mike Williams still out, and Xavier Gipson also missed practice today. So this is also still a wide receiving core that isn't even at its full potential yet, doesn't even have all of its guys out there, and you're already seeing all of these productive practices from Rodgers against this Jets defense, which is, as we know, been top 5 in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. And usually early in camp, the defense is ahead of the offense. Even last year, we saw where the defense was ahead of the offense early in camp, especially up front on the offensive line. So far through 3 days, and it's only 3 days, and I understand that, but so far through 3 days, it's been the offense with the step ahead on the defense in all areas. Weapons from a passing perspective, running perspective, up front, everywhere, offense has been ahead. And a big part of that is, well, you've got Aaron Rodgers back there who makes it look so easy. So those are some of the 7-on-7 drills and then team drills. Rodgers was able to get the ball to Garrett Wilson, was able to get the ball to Allen Lazard. A couple really nice plays across the middle from Garrett Wilson. Another nice play across the middle on Lazard. One of those was actually lined up against Sauce. So Lazard actually beat Sauce, which I think shows you, hey, you know, he's really having a productive camp if he is one-on-one against Sauce and making plays there. Tyler Conklin, Jeremy Ruckert, Breece Hall, who had another good day from a passing stuff, from a reception standpoint as well. Lazard's been excellent. Lazard has had 3 days. He's been pretty much perfect in all 3 days. He's had one drop. That was yesterday. But if I had to give you a rough estimate, Lazard, by my count yesterday, I think had 4 receptions. He had about 3 more today and probably about 3 on the first day. So he's about 10 receptions and only 1 drop. And he's got, what, a touchdown? So 2 touchdowns, day 1 and day 2, both to end practice. So he's been pretty much as perfect as you could imagine for a start for him after what was a really, really bad year last year. So far has came into camp. No soccer ball in sight and has been really productive. So those were mostly your Rodgers numbers, some of the other weapons as well. And then Rodgers also had 2 touchdowns this afternoon, one to Malik Taylor, who had a huge day. The Jets were running from the 12-yard line, one to Malik Taylor. He also had another reception to end practice to Tyler Conklin. And I got to give you Aaron Rodgers' numbers here. These are Aaron Rodgers' numbers so far, and through 3 days of practice, or through the last couple days of practice. So he was 10 of 12 with 2 touchdowns today during practice. Those 2 touchdowns were Malik Taylor, Tyler Conklin. Both of those were in red zone drills. Jets were starting at the 12-yard line. We saw that kind of a similar thing they did on Monday. Wednesday. They did a similar drill yesterday, except it was drive the field period, where they started around the 30, needed to drive the field, needed to get a touchdown. You've even seen some of the 2-minute drill stuff. They kind of mix it up each practice. Today was more focusing on red zone stuff late in practice. So those were those 2 touchdowns came from, were in red zone, Malik Taylor, Tyler Conklin. So 10 of 12 overall, 2 touchdowns. He throughout all the other practices as well. 6 of 8 with 2 touchdowns and 11 on 11. 4 of 6 with 2 touchdowns in red zone, starting at the 12 today. And he was 4 of 4 and 7 on 7. So those are his numbers overall today. That's how he got out to the 10 of 12 throughout practice. And that was this afternoon. Overall, the last 2 days, Rodgers is 23 of 28 with 3 touchdowns in the last 2 camp practices. Those numbers were courtesy of Connor Hughes, who covers the Jets, of course, for SNY. And at the bottom of the tweet, he also wrote, maybe the Jets should hold minicamp in Egypt, which is so true. And again, it's only 3 days of training camp. But Aaron Rodgers, it is crazy the amount of nonsense publicity that Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets got for missing 2 days of minicamp, which is basically just an extension of OTAs, where he went to the previous 10 OTA practices. So he went to 10 of the 12 off-season practices for the Jets. He missed 2 days to go to Egypt, and we have all these talking heads like Colin Cowherd and the Nick Wrights of the world, and all these talking heads saying, oh, the Jets are going to win 8 games. Oh, they're going to miss the playoffs. Missing mandatory minicamp is crucial. It's brutal. We spent about 3 weeks on that. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, this Jets team's never going to be the same because he missed 2 practices in June. And clearly it has no effect because through 3 days, he's impressed. And especially over the last 2, where he's 23 of 28 with 3 touchdowns, 2 today and 1 yesterday to Allen Lazard. So those are your Rodgers numbers today. Another big day for him in the offense. Tyrod also had a touchdown to Jeremy Ruckert on 4th down. He had a really nice play to Malik Taylor against Stiggers down the sideline, deep ball, really nice play. And then Peasley also is able to get Yabo a little bit involved. So those are just some of the other team drill quarterback statistics there. Now we get to some of the running back stuff. And then we'll get to some injury updates as well. And of course, the offensive line is another pretty primary story this afternoon with AVT returning to practice. And some other notes up there. Brees had a really good run early in practice. I believe the Jets actually posted on their social media account, and you could tell by the video, was able to get to the second level, broke free, and just the pure speed, right? Brees, once he gets through the defensive line and gets to the second level, gets to the linebackers, gets to the corners, gets to the safety, and he gets about, he's got 5-6 yards. You give him any space, you give him a little bit of space, he gets to the next level, he gets to another gear, and just the burst and the speed just takes over. And that's where you get those big 15, 20-yard big runs, which we saw a lot of last season. We've seen a lot of in his young NFL career. He had one of those runs today, early in practice. One of the first plays, actually, in practice, he broke out that first big run in team drills. Braylon Allen continues to impress as well. Over the last 2 days, he's impressed a lot as a pass catcher and as a blocker out of the backfield. His blocking has been really underrated, picking up pass rush and understanding and picking up guys in the backfield that get through the line. Very, very productive from that standpoint as a pass blocker out of the backfield. Has also shown off his ability as a pass catcher, which I think has kind of come by a little bit of a surprise for Jets fans, is Allen's ability as a pass catcher, because in his 3 years at Wisconsin, he didn't do a whole lot from a receiving standpoint. It was more of just a downhill physical back that racked up yards and found the end zone a lot. He had 35 touchdowns from 2021 onwards, which was 4th in the FBS over that time. Just found the end zone, downhill runner, physical player, was never really known for his receiving. And early in camp, you're seeing him kind of be a dual threat back. Receiving's been positive. Of course, running as his pure rushing ability has stuck out, and even his pass blocking out of the backfield and picking up blitzes, picking up guys that get through the line has also been really, really promising. And even today, there was a couple runs that he broke off where he got to the outside and showed off his speed and was able to kind of get to another level from a speed standpoint, where he was able to get into another gear, get to the second level, and really break into the open field and pick up a really big gain. I would say it was probably, from what you heard from the beat reporters, it was probably about 10, 15-yard run. So he continues to impress as well. And Tariq Cohen is another guy that caught my eye yesterday at practice when I was there. He had the one really nice run where the play seemed dead, and then he cut back upfield and turned nothing into something. Was going to most likely get stopped for maybe a yard, if that, and then cut back into the middle of the field and turn it into probably a 10, 15-yard gain. And again, today, you see his shiftiness. You see his speed. You see his ability to cut and break, make guys miss. Really under-the-radar player to watch for, that if he does make this team, how he could play a role. And just the rest of camp, it will be a fun player to watch for. Even if, let's say, he doesn't make the team, he's small, he's shifty, he's, not easy to bring down, a fun player to watch, and showed some of that again today. You go on to some of the receivers, pretty much everybody was getting involved. Like I said, Malik Taylor was the big headline today. He was excellent. He was by far the best receiver today. Had 3-4 great catches. The touchdown from Rodgers, so got some of the first team reps in the red zone drills there late in practice where the Jets were starting from the 12-yard line. So he was excellent today, which was, good to see. He also had him and Stiggers have kind of been going at it a little bit. Yesterday, him and Stiggers were going at it. Today, they were going at it again on second team with Tyrod. So that was something to watch for, but good day for him. We'll see what happens with Malik Taylor. I mean, a couple guys deep, couple depth guys today. Brownlee had a couple nice plays. Malik Taylor had a couple nice plays. Lance McCutcheon yesterday had a couple nice plays. So a couple of these deep roster guys that are fighting for a spot, maybe practice squad guys, are performing pretty well. I think Brownlee will make the 53. Malik Taylor and Lance McCutcheon, those guys might be more practice squad, but hey, a good day at camp certainly helps your case. Garrett Wilson and Sauce continue to go at each other. Those were fun battles to watch all of camp last year. Fun battles to watch yesterday, and even fun battles there today. Garrett Wilson won a couple, and then Sauce also had a one play where he had really good coverage. Lazard, of course, impressed again. Talked about the one reception he had against Sauce. And Corley had a couple. Corley got a lot more reps today because Xavier Gibson's missing time. He'll miss about a week or two. We'll get more to that here in a little bit. But Corley had a couple good routes today, was able to get open, but Tyrod missed them on one of the routes where he was wide open. Tyrod overthrew him. So we haven't seen much of Corley through 3 days, which I'm not really surprised. He will get a lot of reps now with Gibson expected to miss about a week or two. So Corley will get a lot of really, really good reps, especially with preseason action here starting up very soon as well. So watch out for Corley here in the coming days, in the coming weeks, as a guy that can maybe emerge a little bit because he hasn't done a whole lot through the first 3 days. Not panicking, but now is an opportunity where he'll get a lot more reps, maybe even some first team reps as well with Gibson's out. Tight ends, they continue to the tight ends, I think, maybe only outside of wide receivers, because like Garrett Wilson's, of course, is always great. Lazard's been such a surprise. But tight ends, I think, can make a case, are the most impressive position group for the Jets so far through 3 days of camp. And that's everywhere. Offense and defense, all position groups combined. I think you can make a strong case tight end has been the most impressive. Conklin had a touchdown today. He had a very good day yesterday as well. There was a 4th down and 5 yesterday in the drive the field period at the end of the practice where they were inside the 30-yard line, 25-yard line, 4th and 5 situation. Rodgers delivered a dime to Conklin for about 10, 15 yards. Nice catch in traffic. And then today found him in the end zone. Conklin's been excellent. You're seeing what he can do with a legitimate quarterback, because just like everybody else, he's been dealing with the same crappy quarterback play the last 2 years as well. But Jeremy Ruckert, I think, has been one of the biggest positives so far in camp, because he needed to have a good camp. And it's 3 days. He's got to continue this. But going into camp, I said Ruckert, in my eyes, because I wasn't, we know what Conklin can do, but you had questions outside of Tyler Conklin. What is Jeremy Ruckert entering year 3? Kenny Yeboah every year is productive during camp. Can he actually take that to the field? What if Ruckert doesn't take a year 3 step? Then who is your number 2 tight end that is a pass catching receiving threat? Who is it? It can't be Zach Kuntz. It's got to be Ruckert. So Ruckert doing well early in camp is a massive, massive sign. All 3 days he's been excellent. If you had to rank best Jets, not including Rodgers so far on offense, so far in camp, it would probably have to go somewhere like Lazard, Ruckert, Garrett Wilson, like one of those, that 3. Like Ruckert arguably has been the Jets' best, maybe second best weapon so far in camp. That's how good he's been. He had another couple catches today, couple catches yesterday, couple catches Wednesday. He's been excellent. Very good. Route running's been good. Pass catching ability's been good. He is showing you he is so much more than what he's been through his first 2 years in the NFL. And he's showing you that he's primed for a big year 3 leap. And that's huge, not only for this year, but also for next year, because Conklin's contract's up at the end of the year. We'll see what happens. That's a conversation way down the road. But if Ruckert has a good year this year, that sets you up very good for the future from that standpoint, that maybe he's your guy for the future. And that 1-2 punch, if they're this good in the regular season, if they carry this through the rest of camp, Conklin Ruckert would be very dangerous come the regular season. And Yeboah also has put together, like I said, some quality reps, which is normal for Yeboah. He always has a good camp. Every year, it's like the summer of Yeboah. He had some quality reps on the second and third team. A lot of news to get to on the offensive line, mostly positive. AVT was back today. Robert Saleh said yesterday that Morgan Moses and AVT would likely return next week. Less than 24 hours later, AVT takes the practice field this morning, participates in individual drills, and was out there for team drills. Saleh did say he's on a little bit of a pitch count to start camp here. They're kind of going to ease him back into things, maybe give him a couple rest days potentially here. I mean, I don't think tomorrow because they do have a day off. They have a built-in day off Sunday. But maybe he'll get some rest days early on as he comes back from the Achilles. But it was great to have AVT back out there today. The Jets' offensive line's coming together. They are one piece away. Morgan Moses, who maybe he's back tomorrow. Who knows? AVT's obviously a little ahead of schedule because yesterday Saleh said he'll be back next week. And then he's back out there today. So if I had to guess, I think Moses will probably be back out there Monday or Tuesday next week. Sometime next week, he will definitely return. It's just crazy. The Jets offense line, it's like it's healthy. It's getting healthy. It's great to see. 4 of their 5 starters are out there. Now, Tyron Smith didn't practice today. Shouldn't come by much of a surprise or concern for Jets fans. It was just the veteran rest day. He did some stuff on his own, was working on the bike. That's normal for Tyron Smith. He had vet rest days in Dallas. He had veteran rest days. He'll have veteran rest days today, like he did today, maybe once a week, twice a week. It's normal. It's something that the Jets should do, is limit how many snaps and how many reps he takes during camp because you need him healthy for the regular season. You don't need him burning himself out during training camp. So it was just a veteran rest day for Tyron Smith. So AVT back, Tyron Smith was out, but they'll both be back tomorrow, which is fine. And then Olu, that allowed Olu to get first team reps, which is something that's positive. When Tyron Smith's not going to be out there for the veteran rest days, that will allow Olu Fashanu to get really valuable first team reps. And we saw that today. He had a couple really, really fun battles against Will McDonald, who was battling Jermaine Johnson. For the most part, looked good. Technique was good. A couple battles he lost. Him and Will McDonald were kind of going at it a little bit. Will McDonald, I think, got the better of him on 2 of the 3 reps against each other. But held his own against Jermaine, won some reps against Will McDonald. Overall, good day. And Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith were watching Olu very closely, which is just great for the player and Olu, a rookie that gets those 2 guys to watch him and get to learn from those 2 veterans. Warren also had some good reps against Clemens today on the second team. So we'll get to the defensive line here in a second, but McDonald was actually working more first team today. Tittman, one thing to notice on the offensive line, it's not much of a concern because Joe Tittman is one of the, or could make the case, one of the Jets' most, I think, bright future pieces in terms of he should be and hopefully is our future center. But through the first 3 days of camp, there's been some bad snaps. Well, actually 2 days, I should say. The last 2 days, not 3 days. Yesterday, there was a couple bad snaps. And actually, even yesterday, there was a couple times where you could see Rodgers talking to Tittman about the bad snaps. And then again, today, there was a couple high snaps. So, Tittman last year was a rookie. He played 14 games, 10 at center, 4 at guard. Now with Rodgers, trying to still build that chemistry where Rodgers wants the snaps and stuff like that, potentially knocking some rust off. But it is something to keep an eye on. Yes, there was a lot of high snaps yesterday, and it was the same thing today. It's not much of a concern, but it is something to keep an eye on. You hope that is something that kind of gets resolved between the 2 of them. Rodgers, again, was talking to Tittman about it today, so hopefully it's kind of just a 2-3 day early camp rust, and as camp moves along, these things stop happening, but I just want to keep it on in a negative standpoint on the offensive line. As for the defense, there has been a ton of, it's weird. The defense, like Tack McKinley yesterday, even with the offense playing so well, was great. And had another good day today. But there isn't many highlights from a defense perspective because the offense has been so good the last 2 days. However, there were still some positives to take away. Javon Kinlaw and Lecky Fotu had back-to-back pressures on Tyrod Taylor 2 plays in a row. Also, Tack McKinley had another pressure today. So McKinley had 3 sacks yesterday. He had another pressure today on Tyrod, which is just the last 2 days for Tack McKinley have been great. Kinlaw getting a pressure back-to-back plays is a positive. And even Lecky Fotu, who had a really good day one, blew up a couple run plays. Yesterday, blew up a run play, and today was able to get to Tyrod twice. So that's a positive there up front on the defensive line. Not so much like Jermaine Quinn and those guys doing well. It's some of these other depth guys. Kinlaw could, potentially starter, but Fotu more depth, more of a run stuffer that has still shown an ability here to get to the quarterback, which is certainly a positive to take away 3 days into camp. There was also some UDFAs that stepped up today. Eric Watts had a fumble recovery on Peasley. It was a bad snap. Watts also had one play where he showed off his speed, had a chase down tackle. I don't exactly know who he tackled, but was able to chase him down along the sideline, showed off some of his speed. So a good day for Eric Watts, the UDFA out of UConn that is competing for a spot on the 53. And even Braden McGregor, another guy that is fighting for one of those final edge spots on the 53 as well, one of those final spots in the defensive line. He had a sack today on Andrew Peasley. So a productive day for the UDFA New York Jets defensive linemen. Eric Watts, Braden McGregor, even Tack McKinley, who was signed on as a training camp invite. Not a UDFA, but a guy that is fighting for a roster spot. So guys that are fighting for roster spots in the defensive line making their mark early here. One of the biggest takeaways, I think, for the defensive line was Will McDonald. Got a lot of first-team reps today against Fashanu, which is a positive. I talked about it the last 2 days of camp. Will McDonald has been getting a lot of, Michael Clemens, I should say, has been getting the majority of the second-team reps. And nothing against Michael Clemens, but I kind of felt the whole Hassan Reddick situation opens up the door for Will McDonald to get valuable first-team reps. And today it seems like he was able to finally get those first-team reps, and that was a positive. Went up against Fashanu. So these were how the 3 plays went against Fashanu. So we'll throw it up on the screen here. This is courtesy of Zach Rosenblatt. For the YouTube audience, we'll throw it up on the screen. So the first time they went against each other, Will McDonald tried to attack Olu Fashanu using power and team drills. Fashanu won the first battle. And then McDonald, the next play, got around him. It was a run play using his agility, juked around him. So McDonald kind of won that battle. And then the next play, McDonald quickly got around Olu. Would have gotten a pressure or a sack potentially on any quarterback other than Rodgers, but Rodgers threw it quickly. So got the ball out, but did get around Olu. If Rodgers doesn't throw it that quick, it's probably a pressure, probably a sack in a real game environment. So through those 3 battles, Will McDonald won 2 of them, which is good to see because Olu did have a positive day today. Won a lot of the battles he went against Jermaine Johnson in a lot of them. He won a lot of them. But it was a good day for Will McDonald, who going up against Olu was productive and got first-team reps, and that's really valuable. Will McDonald needs those first-team reps. Nothing against Michael Clemens, but if there's going to be a guy that's going to start this year, it's going to be Will McDonald, not Michael Clemens. He needs those first-team reps. He was getting more of them today. Hopefully more of them tomorrow and the rest of camp. Could just be rotating. Maybe they are, but good to see here that he kind of got a good majority of the reps and won a couple battles. Linebacker Jamian Sherwood had a pretty good day. Had a really nice open field tackle on Isaiah Davis, showed off some of his speed, kind of an underrated element of his game. And then from a cornerback safety perspective, I talked a little about Sauce. He got beat by Lazard the one play, but also had a nice play on Garrett Wilson where Rodgers tried to fit it into Garrett, but Sauce was all over him. So that one-on-one battle continues to be fun to watch. Just kind of two guys, Sauce wins some battles, Garrett wins some battles. 2 interceptions today. Nehemiah Shelton with an interception against Peasley, and Mr. Irrelevant Jalen Key had an interception also against Peasley. So not exactly a good day for Peasley with 2 picks and no touchdowns. Shelton Key, I don't know about really Shelton's chances. They actually just signed him to the roster. He was on the Jets practice squad, I believe, in previous years. Jalen Key, Mr. Irrelevant. I don't know exactly. He's kind of a guy fighting for the 53 as well at the safety spot. So we will see what happens with that. Could land on the practice squad, but certainly getting an interception helps your roster chances for sure. And Quantez Stiggers had another PBU today. So that's 3 days in a row where Quantez Stiggers has done something like productive in practice from a coverage standpoint, whether it's the almost interception yesterday, pass breakup today, interception in day 1. However, the very next play, he got beat by Malik Taylor. So him and Malik Taylor have had some fun battles. They've kind of gone back and forth. Yesterday, Stiggers was all over Taylor. Today, Taylor seemed to got the better of him, but Stiggers still was able to fit in a pass breakup there. So that's that. Quickly here before we close things out for day number 3, Robert Saleh spoke to the media today on the injuries, on the injury front. Luckily, not anything too crazy from an injury perspective. However, these were his 3 updates. Brandon Echols, still getting information on him, doesn't know what timeline yet. He was banged up today. Xavier Gipson, who left practice yesterday and then came back but was just watching, will be out 1 to 2 weeks with a lower body injury. And Jake Hansen will be out a couple of weeks as well. So those are your 3 injury updates. And then, of course, today was also just the veteran rest day for Tyron Smith. And AVT was back today, and he's kind of on a pitch count. Robert Saleh said he's on a pitch count of sorts, I think was the exact quote he used. So easing him back into things, be back out there tomorrow, pitch count tomorrow, day off Sunday. And then next week, they'll probably really start to ramp him up. We'll get Morgan Moses back. Tyron Smith will be back tomorrow after the vet rest day. So the offensive line, after last year, the offensive line never really practiced together. They never really did. I mean, they basically practiced together like twice in training camp, the starting 5. And then they went into week 1. To put that in perspective, this year, it's a good chance it's still going to be July, and we're already going to see the starting 5 offensive linemen because Moses is very close. He's doing all the individual drills, just not team drills yet. So that'll be something that is coming soon. So that'll do it for episode 335 of In the Trenches with Gang Green. We'll be back tomorrow with my in-person takeaways from New York Jets training camp practice number 4. And until then, as always, JETS, 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 Jets.